Hi, everyone. It's Melanie Warner here. Thank you for joining us live at 5. That's 5 p.m. Pacific here on the West Coast. We're in California. I actually happen to have a guest who is here in the same vicinity. It's nice to have sometimes a guest that's in the same hemisphere, the same time zone, even the same country. So I'm a little bit excited about being able to speak about local things, and he'll definitely understand that as well. But also, just want to say thank you for joining us today. If you're watching live, you're going to see this on all of our social media platforms. If you're watching it back, just know that some of the offers, some of the things we might talk about today may not be available by the time you watch it back as a replay, which is a good reason for you to subscribe. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you're going to get you'll get the little bell and you'll get little reminders when we go live on this show every week. And you'll be able to register for specific prizes and all kinds of fun things that we do and giveaways that we do for our guests and for our viewers. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So there's a lot of great resources for you out there, depending on where you are in your own journey of sharing a very personal story. We love to talk about a defining moment in our lives, and we're going to get to that in just a second. So again, thanks for being here today. I want to welcome our special guest, Rick Alonzo. Rick, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Melanie. I'm really excited. And hi, everyone.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm sure you're happy that we just took the headphones off because you were joking about how they made you look like Princess Leia.
Yes, yes.
So you never
Yeah.
know with technology when you're live, but it sounds good. I think you're doing good.
Oh,
So just
good, good.
just to introduce you to everybody, Rick is an international, world-renowned artist, speaker, and performer. He has over 30 years experience in making art. He's done over 20,000 paintings under his belt, and he has traveled to dozens of countries around the world to share his love of art and motivational messages with thousands of people. Rick is passionate about introducing this generation of teachers and students to the beauty of art. So, Rick, thank you again for being here today. I really, really appreciate it. I'm a huge fan of your work, and I'm lucky enough to be working with you in multiple ways. Um, in fact, y'all, right above my head, right here, this green painting behind me is a painting that Rick actually did for me. He customized it for me, and when we met at a local restaurant, because he's local, he gave me this painting, and it's one of the only times in my life I can remember literally crying in public at a restaurant. Not because I was dumped or something like that or stood up, but because it was such a very sentimental piece. And this was a custom piece that he made for me. It was a total surprise and a beautiful, one of the most meaningful and beautiful gifts I think I've ever received in my life. And I'm not going to cry talking about it, but he took this book cover that I had from my first book about the loss of a child, where I lost my son Carson years ago, and he made this beautiful painting, and he used the book cover as an inspiration. And it's, if you can see behind me, it's a picture up in the top in the green of Jesus holding my son. Oh, it's just so beautiful. It was, like I said, the most special gift, and I want to thank you, Rick, for that. It just, I look
You
at
are
it
so
every
welcome,
day.
Melanie. You're
Oh,
welcome. I love doing things like that. So I'm glad you like it.
oh my
Um,
gosh. It was, you're so talented, and I just think I would love to be able to do something like that for people. Like for me, my gift is gab writing, all those things, but I love being able to give something so meaningful, which is why I love giving books to people, if they're going through a tough time and they need healing or they need some tool to help them get through something. And I mean, you just touch my heart, and I just look at it every day, and so I think about you, and I just appreciate your gifts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, do you still hear the sound? Do you still hear the
No,
sound? Because I
nope.
thought I heard my AC come on. But
Oh,
anyway, um, yeah, Mel, I can start by saying this. For those of you who don't know me or have never seen me before, I was originally from the Philippines, and when I was in the Philippines, around 4 years old, I remember my father would have some kind of bonfire, and afterwards, we cool off the charcoal, and that's the way I learned to draw. Because in the Philippines, we really didn't have the kind of tools that you guys have here. Like, they're not always readily available, like pencil or papers. But what we did was we used charcoal to actually draw on uh, a flat surface, and that's the way I started. Just my love for art started right there. Just doodling, sketching, and whatever I can get my hands on. Then in 19, okay, when I was a kid, I knew I wanted to become an artist, but I just didn't know what type of artist I wanted to be. So when I came to America, I continued to do the things I love to do, sketch, and went to school for art. Went to many, many different art school and won several awards. But my two favorite um, idols would be Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. I love the fact that they're not just painters, but architect and engineer. All these things I wanted to be, and so I had all these gifts and talents, but I just really didn't know what to do with them. I failed to say that I love sports. Um, I did one-on-one I competed in martial arts and a lot of just one-on-one sports. But again, I was good in a lot of things, but I wasn't expert in one. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of just looking for something because you just didn't want to
Yeah.
do what everybody else is doing.
And I think too, that's a good point. Oh, hey, Mara. Mara's here saying hello. Good to see you, girl. I think that's true because I find that sometimes if you're talented and you're good at a lot of different things, it makes it really hard to focus on one thing, right? Especially if you're passionate about things where you don't want to say no to something. And yet there's other people that just are terrible at everything and they're only good at one thing in life. Like you look at Beethoven, who was just a master, pianist and musician. And like, that was his one thing. And he always joked about how like he could not do anything else. If he hadn't discovered the piano, he probably would have been homeless. And you look at people who are like Olympic athletes and they have such a just streamlined focus into that one gift or that one skill. And then other things in their life aren't balanced, right? So I think
Yep.
it's the opposite when you have so many talents or you're good at a lot of things. It can be very stressful to try to figure out, where do I find my path? How do I decide what to make a living, right?
Yes.
I mean, how do I decide what I want to do? And I know there's a lot of kids, younger adults that may be watching as well. So, what advice would you give to somebody who's just kind of starting out? Like they love art, they're passionate about it, but they're trying to figure out their own path.
Yes. Oh, I love this question because you know, I was there and I know I can relate. Um, there's a reason why you have that gift. God bestowed that on you and it's yours. But, what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to tell you, you can't make money in art, doing art. You can't be rich. You can't do this. You can't do that. Don't listen to people like that. Just continue to do the things that you're given to do. Draw, sketch. Pretty soon you will find it. Okay? Just don't give up.
I think when people say you can't do it, it's because they can't do it. You
Exactly.
know, you know what I
Exactly. But
mean?
but we're all given a different gift. We all have, I can't do what other people can do, but I know I can do art because that's what God has given me, right? And so coming back to your question, and my advice to you guys is that if you have that, please keep doing it because a lot of people can do it, but you can. And God has entrusted you with it, and you need to realize that God has a purpose for you to use that gift. For me, when I came to America, um, I really didn't know that one thing. I just didn't have one thing. I have a lot of things, but then I had to. Um, I just, God, do you have a purpose for my life? What is it? And it wasn't until, I was on my way home from work one night and I saw these kids spray painting on a wall. And I said, God, you gotta be there. You have to be there because those kids have no business in spray painting on that wall. That is not their wall. And I wanted to tell these kids that there's a better life, a better way for them. But I really didn't know what that was. So I just stood there or sat there in my car, just in tears, said, God, there's got to be, are you even real? Where are you? How come you're not talking to me? So it was that kind of conversation. So I got home that night and I picked up the Bible that someone had given me. And I said, God, I'm desperate. And Melanie, I'm not kidding you, from the bottom of my heart, this is a true story. As I opened the Bible and I said, God, are you real? It was at that moment when the Lord spoke to me. And it wasn't like an audible voice. It was basically everything that, all the questions that I've been asking when I came to America at that particular moment were answered. It was just a question. God was just waiting for me to ask, Lord, why did you create me this way? And God told me that night, I created you this way to use everything that I've given you. And I want to use you, not just use you, but use your family here in America. And so, little did I know what God was going to do in my life. He took me from the Philippines and had me further my education here in America and took me worldwide, preaching and painting and sharing and doing mission, doing crusades, doing all kinds of stuff that I never even thought I would be doing. But through a simple, yes, Lord, here am I, use me. And it was just like, once I said that, it was God saying, okay, I was just waiting for you. And so
I love that. I love that. I mean,
I get emotional about that
oh,
because
thank you for sharing that because I think there are people who think they're waiting on God or they think they're waiting for the universe to give them a sign. And here you said, you're very clear for you that he said, I was just waiting for you, right? Like you said, everybody has a gift. Everybody has something that they're passionate about. And there's a tool that I've always used as a coach for years and years and years. And it's something that I have done with thousands of people all over the world, right? And it's a quick tool called the purpose tool. So there may be people watching that have no idea what their purpose is. And this is the easiest way to figure it out, right? This is the easiest way to figure it out. So I want to take a second and I want to talk about this tool because I think this is going to help a lot of people that, especially if you're a creative and you don't really know where your gifts are supposed to go. Or maybe you looked in the mirror and thought, I know I'm meant for something more. I know I'm supposed to be doing more with my life. So if you take this tool, and it's such a great exercise, especially for younger people that are trying to find their path and don't really know who they are, they don't really know what they want to do because they haven't experienced that much in life, right? They haven't figured out what they don't like. But if you, and this could work for anybody at any stage and any age in their life. Okay, you guys ready? Now, stay with me in the chat here. If you want to put your answers in there, you can. And this is a tool that anyone can use. So Rick, you can use this as well for um, anybody that you're talking to as a coach, as a trainer. Like it's just such an easy thing. I have done this on an airplane, sitting next to people on an airplane, where I've had people reach out to me 3 years later and say, that chance flight changed my life because it changed. I recognized my purpose that day. And since then, I've been really clear on what I needed to do. Right. And so, okay, so there's 3 questions. It's very simple. So the first question is, what do you do that comes naturally to you? Like, what are you really, really good at that comes naturally to you that's difficult for other people? Right. That's question 1. So if you take a second and put your answer in the chat, we'll experiment here with y'all. So what are you really good at that comes naturally to you? So for you, Rick, you might say painting, right? Like you discovered at an early age, sketching and painting. For me, it's been writing and like sharing stories with people. Like I've been doing it since I was a kid. So you and I would have different answers to that question. And there may be
Mhm.
other people watching that are going to have very different answers to the same question, right? And this will help you determine it. Okay, question number 2. What would you do for free in the next 2 or 3 years if you didn't have to worry about money at all, right? What would you do for free? And what would your answer be? Right? I see a couple of people putting things in, talking with people, putting them at ease, customer service. That's great. And Rick, what would your answer be to that? If you didn't have to worry about money, you could just do what you love.
Oh my gosh, so many things. Right now, I'm doing it now. I'm actually painting whenever I go out there and see, say, a homeless person, or maybe just someone just need to talk to somebody. I would get my sketch pad, and while I talk, I actually draw them because I wanted to give them a gift. So once I'm done, I sign it and I give it to them. They don't need to know who I am. They just need to know that someone actually cared. And so
I
I do
love
this
that.
all over. And so,
And it's sketching. So sketching was your answer for number 1 and number 2.
yeah,
See how this works, people? I see Cheryl says compassion for everyone. My heart is so open and loving. Oh, that's beautiful. Amber says, I was literally typing the same thing that Melanie said. My thing is writing and sharing stories too. Wow, we're in good alignment there. Mara says, "Oh wow, teaching women to look out for red flags." Um, Amber said, "I would what I would do for free. I would share stories of people living in poverty, injustice, share their stories to raise awareness and funds." Very similar to what you just said. But notice how her gift is sharing stories and writing, and yours is sketching. And you said, like, in the third question, this is the cool part. The third question is, what would you do to give back? Right? How do you give back to the planet, to other people, to maybe your church or a nonprofit or a charity? Like, what do you do to give back? And you kind of answered that, Rick, when you said the same thing. You'd sketch and then see a homeless person and then give them their photo. I mean, their artwork, to see themselves from a different perspective, right? That's another way of giving
yeah,
back. Um,
yes, definitely. And there's so many different ways to give back. I mean, um, I'm driving on the road. I see someone flat tire. Uh, Without even thinking, I'm gonna go help them. Stuff like that. But everyone can give. They're
Oh,
kind.
yeah. If
You
we
know.
all just give a little pinky fingernail of what we're capable of giving, the world would have no needs at all. Like, there would not be hunger, there would not be poverty. And so many of us have gifts to give. We have, time, talent, or treasure. And to me, a fate worse than death is wasted talent, and I think God's going to say, well done, faithful servant, to you, Rick, because you've done an amazing job with your art, not only inspiring people, but really just, I mean, using your talents to your greatest abilities, and especially working with students and teachers. So let me wrap up the tool real quick because I want to get back into our conversation too. So think of those 3 questions. Okay. Number 1, let me recap. Number 1, what are you really good at? What comes naturally to you, that comes easy for you, that's difficult for others, right? We all had different answers here. The second one is, what would you do for free if you didn't have to worry about money in the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years, if you could just do what you love? And the third question is, what do you do to give back? And the real truth is, if your answers to all 3 questions are in alignment, then it means you have found your purpose. That's what you should be doing. And if they're not in alignment, you just tweak them a little bit until they are. And every single one of you is going to have a different answer to these questions. That's what makes it so good. And the thing I can tell you is, there are 2 important days in your life. One is the day that you're born, and the second most important day in your life is when you find out why you were born. And today happens to be my youngest son's birthday, Hudson, right? He's a miracle. The fact that he's even alive today, after everything we went through of losing our other son, his older brother, thinking there's no way we're ever going to go through this and have kids again. I believe in miracles because I have one and I get to see him every day, right? And so I think too, if I hadn't gone through all that of losing my son Carson, and all the things that went along with it, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have written the books. I wouldn't have pursued this journey that I'm on, and this path that has led me here to all of you, to have this conversation with Rick today, right? And to learn these tools the hard way, because I struggled a lot to find my own purpose as well. So thank you for indulging me and letting me spend a few minutes to share that tool. It's basically just called the Purpose Tool. It takes about 60 seconds. I challenge every single one of you to ask yourself these questions, and more importantly, ask somebody else those questions. I want to hear about it. Go post on our social media, on our YouTube or our Facebook. Let us know what your answers are, and let us know what you, when you have that conversation with someone else, watch how their eyes light up when they finally understand their purpose. And most of us never ask ourselves these questions. So I just think it's such a cool tool. And since we were talking about that, I wanted to take a second and share that. So, Rick, is there something that you would share with an artist who's just getting started? In other words, what advice would you give to them of just, you said sketching and kind of getting started, but once they start sketching and they realize I have talent or they want to develop that talent more, how do they find a good teacher? How do they find somebody that they can learn and develop those skills from?
The one thing I've done when I first came to America, um, you know, I didn't want to work on McDonald's or any fast food restaurant. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just people are asking me to draw them to do something for them. So I created a simple side business where I charge people for just a sketch or a portrait. That's one way that I did it. But as far as for people who aren't into sketching or into drawing, but they are into art, whatever that they're passionate of, they can make a living out of it. There's so many ways. Gone are the days where they say to you, you know, you're an artist, you're gonna starve, kind of thing. That's a myth. If you're an artist, there's a reason why you're given that gift. And so, right now, Mel, you asked, um, I'm writing a book about art, and one of the reason I mentioned that is because when I talked to you, you had said that when you do write a book, make sure that it solves a problem, right? So as an artist, I want to solve that problem. So what was the problem? Where um, many of your audience probably don't know that I also do a lot of speaking engagement in public schools and churches. But whenever I get a phone call from teachers and parents, they're always almost telling me how their kids have lost passion to learn or have lost passion to do schools because of COVID, I guess. So one way was create some kind of solution for that, a way to inspire creativity in our children so that they can communicate and so that they can express themselves in a way that they can't with just words. They can express it through sketching and doodling and answering questions. And that's what the book is about. And so that's one way a person, if he's if he wants to do something in art, he can do that. He can write book. Another way is create their own art and make prints. And there are a lot of people out there who are actually doing that. And um, there are different websites that they can go to and learn from. So many resources. If you're looking for an answer, the world, yeah, I mean, it's like a library. I think it was Kobe Bryant who said you can find the answer in the world because it is a library. So I hope I'm not babbling here. I hope that
No, that's
answers.
that's actually really no, that's actually really good, because I think that's the thing is people. I know that I have kids. I have two adult kids and I have a teenager, and I know that my middle son, that he's 21. I know for him, he's got a lot of talents, but sometimes he has trouble getting started, right? Just like, what's the first step? And then a lot of times, once people know, that's why most people never finish their book, by the way, either. Is 80% of the people out there say they want to write a book, but only 1% do, because they don't have clarity or they don't know what to do and they get confused or they question their abilities. And so it's the same with painting. We talked about, what does it mean to be an artist, right? I have a daughter who is an incredible painter, and she's a professional actress in Los Angeles. She's actually in Ohio right now shooting a film as we speak. And the thing is, she's always been an artist. And then I think about people that are musicians, that are artists, in a different way, and they have different materials, but it's expressing yourself in a way that other people are going to feel connected and appreciate and not feel as alone in the world. And people do that with different instruments, different materials, but it's always done with the intention of art behind it, of wanting to connect with people. I think that's ultimately what I would suggest every artist is striving for, right? Is they just want to connect with people through their art, whether they're Van Gogh or Rick Alonzo.
You can an artist can reach a lot of people. An artist can help a lot of people, but he can't help all the people, and he can't reach all the people. But just reach those who you can, and share your gift to those who need it. Because I do believe that that gift came from the Lord, and He has a plan and a purpose for it. So, and I'm a living proof of that.
I love that. And I think too, by just, you know, connecting to your gifts and trusting that you're going to get that direction that you need. And that, I think that's the first step, is just being aware that you have a gift, and like trying a bunch of different things, because you don't always know what you're going to connect with, and measure everything you do through the lens of some of those questions we just asked, and just be consciously aware of the things you love to do, and really start to evaluate if you're good at it and you enjoy it and it gives back to the world. Then develop skills, right? Then you can take lessons. Because if somebody is willing but not really capable, they can get training to become better. And some people are naturally gifted but don't have the discipline to do something. So it's really that balance of developing your skills, and discovering these talents by just trying different things until you find the thing that that I've often heard it say it like this: you know what you should be doing when other people ask you to do it, right? When other people ask you to paint for them, they ask you to sing for them, they ask you to write something for them. I had a friend yesterday at dinner. She's moving away and she's getting married, and we were all there celebrating her as she's leaving. And she said, "Will you help me write my vows?" And I went, "Oh, like what an honor." And I've had people ask me to help write an obituary for somebody they love, because they just can't find the words, even though it's coming from their heart, right? And so that's the thing, is I think when people ask you to do something, and enough people ask you to do something, then you know it's something you're good at. And that may be step one, is just determining your skills, then honing your skills, like getting the training that is going to inspire you, having different teachers, having different mentors. Now, tell us about that, Rick. I know that you do that. You do also train people, and you go and do these beautiful assemblies in front of, thousands of students at a time. So they're seeing you being this passionate artist, and just living your best life. Like, that's got to feel so good. Tell us about those events, and what
Sure.
exactly you do there.
Yes. Right. Speed painting has been around since I think the 70s. Danny Dent passed away, and he's the one who I saw did the speed paint, but he did it through a rock and roll music, right? He wasn't doing faith based. However, for me, I've always already envisioned what it would be like to create something different than not than just being in the studio where you're painting and no one can see what you're doing. So I wanted to somehow, some way, bring some kind of different kind of art to the audience. So I'm going to answer your story in this way. Let me see how I'm going to do this. Okay, so if you're going to create some kind of art and you want to reach as many people as possible, you got to do it in a way that is unique and different. Now, that is not to say there's only one Rick Alonzo. I mean, I'm training my daughter right now, and she's like she's a really good painter and a really good speaker. In fact, she preaches and she also paints. And so we've been doing this for a while now, and she's probably going to take over the ministry. But I guess what I'm saying is this: create your, is it what do you call, niche, or your what you're called to do, and stick with it. Don't try to be that person or that person. Stick with what God has called you to do, because God has a purpose for that. So I started, the visual art for faith based, and started. I'm wanting to take the art back to the church, because art wasn't in the church. So that was in 1992. I was traveling all over, basically preaching and painting and performing. And my prayer at that time was, Lord, call several artists to do this, please, because I really feel like art can be used to glorify God, and also it can be used to reach people. And so a lot of people today wondering, well, what can I do now? Can I get that training? There's so many different ways to get that training. One way, the reason I started training online and also live, it was because so that the person, an artist, can have some kind of, uh, he can make a living doing art. And so and so, yeah, it's you don't need to. Many people would say, well, I didn't go to college, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Well, you don't need to do that. If God has called you to do something, He'll qualify you. I'm not a theologian, or I'm not a what you would call. I didn't get my master's degree in art as an artist, but yet God has taken me to so many different places and had me speaking in front of over 40,000 people. I mean, and I can barely speak, I can barely pronounce word, but yet God put me in front of these masses of people and had me. I mean, I did a television program, and it's in Japan, and it was crazy because I didn't want to do it because it was all secular. But then my wife told me, "Look, you just never know what God is going to do. You just go and then do it." Now, while I was doing the program, I hung out with people from Pirates of the Caribbean, and had this incredible, awesome television program. But your audience, please don't get me wrong. This is not about getting, popular, or there was a reason why God put me there. And this is the reason. There was an agent from Hollywood, and he was a Buddhist, and he saw something in me. I almost didn't go, Mel. When I was asked to audition for this movie or for this show, I didn't want to go. Yeah, they're gonna pay me a lot of money, but yet I wasn't about that. I was more like, God, what is it that you want me to do? Because I'm more interested in sharing the gospel to people than making a movie. Anyway, the lady came up to me and said, after she handed me a check, she said, "Can I ask you something?" And I said, "Okay, yeah, of course." He said to me, "Why do you have so much peace, and how do I get that?"
Mm,
And that God says to me that this is the reason why you're here. It's not
mm.
about the movie. It's because of this person. And then right away, tears just started dripping. And I said, "Tomoko," I said, "God wants to save you. I feel it. And God has already been speaking to you 2 weeks prior of us meeting together." And he said, "You're right." And so there is a reason, there is a purpose for everything. Find what that is, because you're here for a reason. One day you're going to leave this planet, and you want to leave whatever legacy God wants you to leave. For me, it's getting hope to people through the arts. It's a tool. Everyone has a tool, has a gift. Mel has a gift. The people in the audience, you guys have a gift. Just find what that is. And that's a tool that God wants to use you so that He can give hope to those people. Um, I hope that kind of answered a little
Oh,
bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And I did put some links, by the way. So for those of you that are curious about this, if you want to see Rick in action doing his speed painting, you can check out some of the links that we have here at rickalonzo.com, rickalonzoart.com, and rickalonzo.org. There's a lot of different websites and tools. There's different ones depending on what type of information you're looking for, or even booking him at, if you're a school administrator, teacher, and you want to book him as a speaker at your school, he certainly can come and do. He makes a very entertaining assembly, right? Because of the way that he can paint with this incredible speed painting to music. Within a matter of minutes, he creates these incredible masterpieces, and it's just so cool for the kids to watch. And um, I don't know if y'all have ever experienced. How many of you, just put in the chat, have ever seen a speed painter or even know what that is? Right? If you haven't, I encourage you to check out the links that we put in the chat there. It's a really incredible thing to watch, and especially if you're there live and you get to see part of it, right? And so here's an example of somebody who started out, like you said, in a whole different country, and you had to use charcoal because that's all you had to keep yourself cool, right? And like then you started sketching, just like someone in our country, we might have used chalk. How many of you like used chalk when you were a kid and you were drawing on the sidewalk and doodling? And to think that you could become this incredible artist and have this experience, like you said, you never know where God's going to take you, and you trusted that journey and you invested in yourself and your art, and now are one of the most well-known speed painting artists in the world and have so many people that follow you and love what you're doing. But then you also decided to invest in speaking skills. You're like, hey, I'm getting up in front of all these people. So you became a certified speaker. So how did that happen?
Oh my goodness. When I first became an artist, I said to the people that invite me, I can do art, I'll paint, but please don't let me speak. And so someone came up to me, says, I can see you speaking one day. And I said, yeah, right. I laugh about that. But the way it started is pastors and politicians and leaders and teachers, they see me paint and they would come up and want to interview me in front of masses and masses of people. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So then I was basically almost like I had no choice. It was like God taking a nobody like me and says, "You'll see. I'm going to qualify you," which means I'm not qualified to do this in the world. I'm not a speaker. I'm nothing. I'm a nobody, but I love the Lord and I love people and I want to share God to people. And the one thing I want to share to your audience is this, is that you put God first and put people in alignment with that. You serve people by serving God. I promise you this from the bottom of my heart. If there's anything you can take from this interview, serve God by serving people, and you'll see what happened. The money will come, all this stuff. Don't worry about that. But care for people, serve people. Because when you serve people, you're serving God. So with the John Maxwell, um, I just wanted to learn more about speaking because I was getting a lot of these speaking engagement, getting paid a lot of money to speak. But yet it's like, I'm not a speaker. So how do I do this? So the Lord provided the money to get me to Florida. To make this long story short, I got there and I did the training and and I got certified. Now the thing is, I'm using it, but in a way that I'm not using it like I want to make a lot of money doing it, but I'm using it because I felt like this was right for me because of all the speaking engagement I do and the interviews I've done. I need to learn how to do this, and so that was all God. I wasn't planning to go to John Maxwell. I don't even know him
Mm-hmm.
until I something happened and I was led to go, and that's how it all became.
I think
So
that's a good point too, because you don't have to be an expert first. And a lot of people think, oh, I have to go get training and be an expert and then I'll get booked as a speaker. What happens is you lead from your heart and your gifts. Like you said, you serve people, and all of a sudden these opportunities come up. I know that happened in my own life. And I can share, like, when I first wrote my first book, this one we talked about earlier, I didn't know the power of writing a book. I had no idea how people would look at me. I always wanted to write a book, but I really didn't know which book to write. And this one was just burning in me because of my son and all the spiral that I went through after losing him and then losing everything and having to start all over. I didn't want other people to go through that. And so I wrote the book. And then and there's like 50 different stories of other parents that are sharing their knowledge and their hope with people, right, through that horrific loss of losing a child. But what I didn't anticipate, Rick, was how many people would view me as that expert. And so I was getting calls from people who were literally suicidal, saying, I can't deal with this pain, and you wrote the book on it. You're the expert. Give me some hope. Tell me what to do so I can stop feeling this way. And I was so terrified I was going to say the wrong thing, because I, just like you said, you're not like a pastor or whatever. I didn't know what to say. I didn't have the tools. And so I went back and got training with my mentor, who's Tony Robbins. And I learned these incredible skills. And it was called strategic intervention. And I learned the self-healing and self-awareness tools that helped me become aware of what I was doing to sabotage myself and become the victim after these bad circumstances. And I understood that if I could change my thoughts, I could change my life. And I just needed to understand how to do that. And I finally got my life turned around. And then I learned these tools and I was able to help other people do it. And so I see what you mean, like where you don't know that you're going to be that. Like, I never grew up as a kid going, I want to be a life coach or a business coach, or even thinking I'm going to write books. I didn't know. I thought I was going to do many other things in my life. And now I realize, like, the things that I thought at the time where I thought I was being buried, I was being planted for where I'm at right now. And where I thought that God abandoned me, I realized that I had abandoned myself, right? And that
mm,
was such a powerful lesson to learn. And so I never wanted to move backwards in my life again. I always wanted to just move forward and take these tools and know that no matter what happened to me, I was going to be okay. And so would other people if they just learned them, right? So
mm.
I think sometimes the defining moments, right, like you talked about earlier, that moment that you knew what you were meant for, and you just trusted that vision and you just headed in that direction, and then the rest of it all came into place because of that conviction that you had for your faith and for your vision.
There's so many ways. There's so many ways that you can live in this planet. So many things to do. But guys, if you have a vision and God has given you that vision, a lot of people are gonna say stuff to you. They're gonna try to pull you away from your visions. Some of them are gonna say things that sound so good, but please try to focus on that vision that you're given, and the rest is just gonna go. I mean, yes, it's not a smooth sailing. I make it sound like it's smooth sailing, but I promise you, it's gonna be the best road you'll ever take, because you know exactly what you're created to do. Um, so as I share this, you guys, I think of a lot of the kids out there who are so talented, but yet don't really um, know how to use their God-given talent. And I tell them, you don't need to know too much right now. Just keep your focus and keep your passion in front of you, because these things will come. Um,
Yeah, you don't need to know all the steps. Just take the first step, right? And then the next step will appear when you need it.
yes, yes, yes. So I took the first step of writing a book. I'm not a writer. When I came to America, Mel, I only knew two words: yes and no. Teacher would say, "Do
Really?
you want to eat? Do you want to eat? No. What do you want to do? No. What do you want to do? Yes. It was yes and no. That's all I knew. And then a lot of these kids would come up to my house. They want to communicate with me. Well, I don't communicate in English. I'm from the Philippines. I was raised in the Philippines. I don't know. I do not speak the English language, but I had to learn quickly. And what I did was I started speaking it more. I started reading books. I started reading whatever, hearing people talk, and I learned to communicate within a weeks, 2 weeks. I started not just yes and no, but I started saying things like, "You guys come in, eat," or stuff. But then here I am writing a book. My gosh, I got like when I was in high school. I had to take like low level of English because I couldn't speak the English language. So what they do, I had this teacher who invested in me. She said, Rick, every day for 1 year, I'm going to invest in you. I would like for you to come in during lunchtime. I would give you a book. I want you to read it out loud, and I want you to pronounce the words. If I hear you pronounce them incorrectly, I will correct you. And so she would eat in front of me, and I would just read. And then after that, I was good enough to take an English class. And then after that, I advanced to a different English class. But I'm not a writer, so this opportunity came when it was presented to me, and I'm like, well, people always tell me I have a lot of things to say. Maybe I can I can put them in a book, and I did, and I'm glad that I invested on it because it was one of the best investment I've ever done.
Yeah,
So I
they say that writing a book is a transformational experience. And I know, like, for me, my business, everything I've done has become the best personal development tool I've ever had because it pushes me out of my comfort zone. And like every single thing in our lives is waiting for us right outside of our comfort zone. And sometimes we feel like it's just out of reach, but it's because we're not stretching. It's right there. Right. And so, like, here you are getting out of your comfort zone to become a speaker because you know it's a skill you have to have if you're going to get in front of a lot of people like that you want. It gives you more confidence. You did it to expand your skills as a painter, and then as a speaker, and now you're doing it as an author. You invested in that part of yourself.
I would like to add this, you guys, as you go, failure is going to be part of that. You're going to fail, but you're not a failure. It's just part of being successful. And success is a journey, not a destination. I think you guys have heard that before. You can be successful every day by the right decisions you make. So
Right.
fail,
Like they always say, there's no failure, there's only feedback.
yes,
If you knew you could not fail, and more importantly, if you really knew the power of who walked next to you every single step of your journey, you would never have fear or doubt again. That's a quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer about this power of this energy of like what you have, what we all have at our fingertips, and we don't always tap into it. And I think that's one of the most important things, for the takeaway for today is just to know we all have these things inside of us. We all have creative outlets. We all have skills and talents that are, meant just for us. And that's why you never see anybody that has the same exact one. Even painters that have different visions and interpretations of what they're seeing in the world. It's fascinating, isn't it?
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And I'm like you. I just want to encourage more people to do that. I think you're so inspiring, Rick, and I appreciate you being here today and sharing all of your knowledge. Now that you're in this journey, your book is almost done. It's going to be coming out soon. We'll be talking more
Hey,
about that. Woo, woo.
hey.
So, what advice would you give to people who have thought about writing a book, or kind of on the fence and like trying to figure out like what to write about, and if anybody's going to read it, and what to do and all that good stuff?
Yeah, everyone has a book to write, and everyone has a book inside of them. Um, don't worry too much about what that is right now. But I think if you want to write the book and you have all the desire, that's all you need right now. I think it's just the desire. Once you have that desire, um, what I do is I what I did was I took this course with defining moments, and basically I just followed the steps that they took me on. And as I follow it, I start getting a lot of information and also a lot of inspiration from it. And so the one thing that I want to just share with you is that your life story and the whole entire experience can be it can be in a book, and that is that can be one of the book that you can write. But don't give up. It sometimes it takes a while. Like me, it took me 2 years, but don't give up. It's gonna happen.
I love that. And that's the thing. It's like sometimes people need to research more things. If it's a memoir, if it's a how-to book, most of the nonfiction books, like those are the things that most people struggle with is how do I determine what to put in it? So we added the website here. Thank you, team, for that. It's mydefiningmoments.com. So if you're interested in writing a book, sharing your story, you want to know a little bit more about that process, we can certainly help you. You can go and find free resources on there. You can fill out a quick application. Tell us a little bit more about your idea, your book, your concept. What is it that you specifically want to do? And we can hop on a call with you and help walk you through and map out the next steps. So you don't have to go through that journey alone either. And like I said, Rick's book is coming out very, very soon. So I'm really excited to read it and see what's happening with you. And I think it's going to inspire a lot of young artists and people who really not even just the young ones, anybody at any stage in life to just really tap
Yes,
into your true talents.
yes, definitely. um, yeah, it doesn't have to be hard. Sometimes we try to make it hard because there's this unknown, there's this thing in front of us that we don't know about. But as we take those just tiny baby steps, defining moments have everything lined up for you guys. And I believe that if you do desire to write a book, um, jump on it. You just never know where that's going to lead you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And before we wrap up today, is there anything you want to share with our viewers about your book, like the type of book and who it's for, so they have a better understanding of that?
Yes. When I first started this, I thought it was going to be my autobiography, and I wrote it, and it was my autobiography. But then, as I started doing more speaking engagement, doing a lot of performance out there, um, the course, it outlines it for me. It says who are you targeting, what type of solution or a problem you're trying to solve. And so I started writing uh, things about inspiring the kids, inspiring students, but not just the students, but also the teachers and parents. Now, this is how I arrived in this. I get phone calls from teachers and parents saying, "How can you help my kids? They don't want to learn. They don't want to go to school." And I blame COVID in all this, but at the same time, there's got to be something that we can do. So I created a way for our kids to communicate to the teachers and to the parents. And while they're answering all these questions, there's actually a part where they can doodle and sketch, and and then they can also, when they get stuck, they can go into the website and they can actually see me um, draw this, and they can copy and get inspiration from it. I'll explain it in detail, step by step, of how I arrived here or what to do here, or things like that. So that's what the book is about. The book is about for schools, for the teachers actually to help their students communicate better and to, again, spark some kind of creativity and inspiration so that they can start learning again, and enjoy school again. So that's what the book is about.
I love that. I think that's going to really help a lot of people, and especially, connecting parents, teachers, children, young adults. So, it really does appeal to all ages and anybody that just wants to learn more about the process of art, how you get started, a little bit more formal training. And then you also have courses and membership where you can teach people if they want to, they can read the book and get some basic information. But if they really want to interact and engage and have those examples, then they can actually even do more of an extension of working with you. And
Yeah.
I love that you're a mentor, that you're really taking these people under your wing and just and giving them all your gold. I think that's amazing.
I just want to help as much as I can, because who knows how long we're gonna be on this planet. But if you are an artist, or if you know someone who would like to become a professional artist, I'm more than willing to coach them. I'm more than willing to be there as a mentor. There's so many different ways, and God has given me that gift to teach others, I believe, and I have done that. So if you're one of those people who are like, you know what, I want to be an artist, please get a hold of me. Write
I
to me.
love that. Well,
Okay.
thank you so, so much, Rick. Thank you. And congratulations on all your success and your book and all these amazing things that are happening and getting out there in the world, that you're creating these things literally that come from inside of you and you're executing them and getting them out in the world and they're impacting others and also creating this amazing income for you. So you can do both, right? You can influence people, you can make an impact and an income. Rick, you're a shining example of that, and still also being a man of God and live by this great example. So thanks for all you do. I'm really, really impressed even more after talking to you today, getting to know you a little bit more, and what makes you tick. And also, then those of you that are planning or looking to write a book, or you're thinking about it, you've wanted to do it, you don't know where to start, I encourage you to go to our website and check out a little bit of the resources there. And and basically you can sign up for a quick application at mydefiningmoments.com. We do help people write a book, launch a book, market it, become a bestseller, but more importantly, they get to keep all of their royalties, which is really, to me, very important, because you can go get a big publishing deal and then they're going to keep so much of the royalties, which is what happened to me, which is how I ended up in the self-publishing side and now help people walk through that journey. So they get to keep more of what they're making. Um, so thank you so much, Rick, for being here today. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Mel.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up today?
Oh, um, you know what? I just want to encourage everyone. One of the reason, I mean, if there's anything you guys need from me, please, I'm here to help as much as I can. And another thing is, I wouldn't be able to do this without my Lord Jesus Christ. So please understand that I'm not bragging about myself or anything. I'm just boasting about God and what He's done for my life. So, get a hold of me if you need to talk to me.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. And thanks again for being here today. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll get notified when our shows go live every week. You can also follow us on other social media channels. You'll find those links below here in the main page. And again, thank you all for being here. Next week, please join us for our special guest. Her name is Rita Gladding. Rita released a book recently that was also a story about how she lost her son and the court battle, and even going to change the law in California and what that process has been like, plus setting up a foundation and honoring her son. So if you're interested or in wanting to know not only how to heal through grief of that kind of loss, but also how to navigate the court system, the laws of different states, of how to change the law that's going to make a difference for other people, or how to create a foundation to honor somebody as a legacy. Like, you're going to learn a lot from Rita. She's an amazing person, and has done a great job with her book as well. So want to thank you all for being here. We'll see you all next week. Thank you, Rick Alonzo, as
Thank
well.
you.
And thank you, all of you there at home with us, and your engagement here today. We appreciate y'all. All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.